All right guys, so when your new trailer arrives, I'll do a walkthrough on sort of how to get things rolling. This would be your electrical connection. Just plugs right into the side of the trailer. There's a blue light once you get electricity to it. You could plug the other end into an extension cord, a drop cord if you will. Keep in mind though, this cord is really large, a drop cord is really small. So you can't turn the microwave on or run the air conditioner off of a drop cord because it'll overheat the system and you'll end up melting something. So works fine for lights, showers and such, just no microwave and no air conditioning using the drop cord. This is just the exterior outside access to your hot water heater. So for winterization is really about the only time you'll come into this and remove that plug so that it'll drain the water out of the heater. And then of course for service, but you would only want an authorized repair center to do that for you. Let's see, so we have a waste tank here, hard to see, but this would be for your shower. There's a city water connection or a hose connection so that the wastewater, you could do a campsite and it'll actually run into the campsite sewage. These are just the vents for the refrigerator and a drain. RV refrigerators actually function off of heat exchange, so it pulls hot air in or pulls the air in through the bottom vent, out the coils through the top, and don't ask me how that cools things down inside, but it basically pulls all the hot air out, so you end up with cold air. This model has a furnace, or this client elected to add a furnace to it, which I really like. Of course, an outside water faucet is standard, and then that's going to be your battery hookup inside and your sewage hose holder. Now this battery connection has an on and off switch. When it's ON, which is where I have it now on the green, and I have the trailer plugged in to shore power, it's charging the battery. If I were to turn this off, which is what you would want to do when the trailer's not in use, just to prevent any power or leakage to a light that you've left on or a fan or something like that. So charging, make sure it's on, and not in use, just turn that battery off. So to get started, first thing you would want to do is, once your trailer arrives, it's typically going to be dry depending on what time of year it is. We don't want to ship trailers with freezing water, but if you just want to fill the tank up, and this is a 30-gallon tank, just stick a water hose in it. When the water gurgles out, it's full. And so that would be filling the fresh water tank on the trailer. If you want to use a city water connection, so you just put a hose to it and it bypasses the freshwater tank on the Tovey or on the trailer. Yeah, so we were just talking about getting water inside. You want to go ahead and turn the tanks on while you're out. One thing to point out, these tanks do have a selector valve in between. This one's a little difficult to see because of the electric jack, but once one tank runs out and this arrow is pointing to the tank it's going to pull from. So my recommendation is to turn both tanks on, turn the arrow to one tank or the other. It'll completely deplete this one first. You can look at your indicator. Once it turns red, you'll know that this tank is out. It automatically switched to the new tank, and then you would just flip your dial and it would turn back green and then go fill the empty tank. So that's just a really good way easy way of keeping up and not running out of propane while you're in use. Just an outside receptacle here. So let's step on inside. Of course, lighting is pretty self-explanatory with various switches. All right, so we've turned our water on, we've filled the water tank. There'll be quite a bit of air in the line, so you may have to get the air out. If you're using a city water connection, you're bypassing the water pump on the trailer, so it's going to work just off of the hose. However, if you're using the fresh water, which is what we're using now, this is the switch to the pump. And so if I turn the faucet on, you can see the water stops running. And then if I turn the pump on, and we have water again. So that's pumping from the fresh water on the trailer. So one thing about a new trailer, to get propane to the refrigerator and to the hot water heater, there's often air or old gas in the lines, propane. So I'm just gonna turn this to the on and get the propane going, and then just hold my, you can see it's blowing the flame out. There we go. All right, so that'll help bleed some of that gas out. You can turn that off. And then to light the refrigerator, you would simply just turn the power on and it would go to auto. So it'll automatically pick up either shore power or propane. And we could turn to propane if we wanted, but I like auto. All right, so to turn the water heater on, your switch is located on the side. We've turned the propane tanks on, so we know we have propane going to it. Make sure your tanks are full. We typically will deliver without propane. Turn your switch to the on position. Nothing is happening. And the reason for that is the water heater is empty. Even though we have the pump running, these valves are off. And so now you can hear that water tank filling, or the hot water heater. So we have lit the cooktop to bleed the lines, the propane. We have the water pump turned on, the water heater on, but nothing is happening. And we filled the water heater with water. So you can see there's still a lot of air on the hot water side. So it's going to take a bit for it to finish filling that tank up. Okay, so when you fill your water tank the first time, these bypass valves, more than likely when the trailer arrives, they're going to be perpendicular to the hot water heater. And this is what you would use for winterization. So for our purposes to get started, you're going to want to turn both of these valves toward the heater, this one toward the heater, so it's pointing that way, and that way we're pumping water into it. Open your hot. You can see we have water coming out, so all the air is out of the line. Open the cold. We have no air in the line. So at that point, our heater's full of water. All the air is out of the lines. The propane is turned to the on position. The battery is on. Now we just flip the switch. It may take a few times to ignite just because of the old gas in the line or something, but it will continue to cycle until it automatically lights. You can hear it clicking. Now you hear the flame. And you can actually walk outside and place your hand at the exhaust and feel the heat. Just don't get too close, obviously. And last but not least, this is just the control to the furnace. That's propane operated and 12 volts. So as long as the battery's on, the propane tanks are on, you can get instantaneous heat. These you simply grab in the center, lift up or down. A lot of folks try to pull a string or something, but it's just up and down. And then you just have a light and a fan.